Hi, I'm Tracy. I'm a learning support specialist located at the Wheeling campus.
And hi, I'm Alex, and also a learning sports specialist located at the Wheeling campus as well as the Chicago campus.
So today we're going to be talking about time management. So with that, the few things we're going to talk about are time limit, so how much time you have in a day, your time personality, so kind of your attitude towards time and how you approach time, and some different time management strategies that you can use depending on your time personality to make your time more effective and make the most of it. So with the time limit, again, there's 24 hours in a day. You can't add more time to a day or take time away. Time's going to keep moving no matter what you do. So we don't have control over the amount of time we have, but what we do have control over is how we use it. So we're going to be talking about some strategies and things that you can use to maximize your time and use it effectively. So the first thing that we're going to be talking about is time personalities, which are just your attitudes towards time and how you use it. So everybody's different. There's some people that are multitaskers and do a lot of different things at once. There's some people that are perfectionists and just want to work through everything perfectly. So we're going to talk about some of those different time personalities, and you can see kind of where you fit on that spectrum. Maybe you're a mixture of a few different personalities, and then we'll give you some ideas for strategies that you can use to maximize your time. So the first time personality is the firefighter. So this is the type of person that can quickly work through a to-do list and is focused on getting stuff done. They're focused on the end results, and they'll often act without giving much thought to what's the most urgent or most important thing to get done. They're just focused on the results, right? So picture a firefighter, right? They're just trying to get the fire out. They're focused on that result of ending the fire, and they're not really thinking about what needs to get done first, second, or third. They're just focused on getting the fire out. So as a student, you might be focused on just getting your assignments done, not thinking about what's the most urgent or most important thing to get done first.
And our second time personality is the workhorse. So this can be a cautious student with a slow and steady type of approach to getting things done. So you're good at being independent, but often overcautious and unwilling to share the workload with other students. And so with this personality type, they're really good at getting in the grind and focusing on getting all the work done, but their dedication to the job can often lead to an unwillingness to share with other students, and it can sometimes cause issues because of that. Yeah.
So the next time personality is the overcommitter. So this is the type of person, they're a great team player, but they have a hard time saying no, and they often bite off more than they can chew. So with the overcommitter, you can really become overwhelmed just because you take on so much. So this is kind of that yes man or that yes person who just takes on so much because they have a hard time saying no.
And the next personality is one we probably all know and have been at some point in our life, the procrastinator. So this is someone who puts things off often to the last minute. There's no sense of urgency. You have confidence that you're going to get it done, even if you wait to the last minute, which may or may not always be the case. You get to things when you get to them. You let other parts of your life sort of take the precedent over some of the work that you might need to get done at a certain deadline as a student.
So the next one is the chatty Cathy. So this is an upbeat, friendly, talkative person. So this is the type of person that has long, drawn out conversations, and they often spend so much time talking that they don't get a lot of work done. So this is the type of person that could maybe be kind of frustrating to their coworkers or classmates just because they're, talking the whole time and they're not getting a lot of work done. And they're still being friendly and trying to get work done, but they can often get off track because they're spending so much time talking.
And then we have the perfectionist. This is someone who is focused, almost always quality over quantity. Accuracy is the most important thing, and And a perfectionist can feel often overwhelmed if there's too much on their plate because they want to do each task to the best of their ability fully and have it be completely accurate. They can be focused on grades and basically getting the work done in a way that is completely perfect, which, can't always be done when you're taking multiple courses and having um, big assignments and learning, right? And the key with all these time personalities is that everyone is not just one, right? We are a combination of these and might shift at different points in our life as well. So that's why it's important to identify what you're feeling or how you're acting at the moment so you can identify what is the solution in order to change your mindset and be able to actually do some of the work in a timely and efficient manner.
Mhm. So with these different time personalities in mind, there's a time management matrix that can be helpful to think about when you're, getting different tasks that you need to do either for school, your personal life, whatever it might be. So in this first quadrant here, this is for tasks that are urgent and important. So these are things that need to get done right away. Maybe there's a personal crisis or something like that, or a deadline for school. So those are things that need, your full attention right away. It's urgent and it's important to get done. This next quadrant here, quadrant two, is things that are important, but they're not as urgent. So, that might be your significant other in your relationship. That might be things that you're planning to do later on. So it's still important, but it's not as urgent. Things you do for fun or recreation. This next quadrant here, quadrant three, those are things that are urgent but not as important. So those might be things that interrupt you. Maybe you're working on homework and your kids come in. So that would be, something that comes up right away. It's urgent, but if they're not asking, a super important question, it's not as important as whatever you were doing in the moment. Meetings might come up kind of urgently, or different activities. So things that are, they come up quickly, but they're not as important to get done right away. And then this fourth quadrant here are things that are not urgent and not important. So those are those things that kind of suck your time away, watching TV, things that you do for pleasure. So there are things that are enjoyable and they're still important to do, but they do kind of suck away a lot of your time. So you can't get to these more important tasks up here. So with those different time personalities and that matrix that we just looked at in mind, here's just some different strategies that you might want to think about using based on your time personality. And like Alex mentioned, a lot of people fit into more than one of these time personalities, or they might be the overcommitter at one time and the procrastinator at another, or something like that. So just keep that in mind. But you'll find that a lot of these strategies can overlap and be utilized, by multiple different time personalities. So for the firefighter or the workhorse, if that kind of seemed to fit your time personality, what could be helpful is prioritizing your task. So using that matrix to think about what's urgent, what's important, and also using a to-do list so you can kind of prioritize and see what needs to get done first, and have a list of things to check off during the day. If you're that overcommitter, it's easier said than done, but you kind of have to learn to say no to certain things, especially those things that maybe aren't as, they need to get done, but they're not necessarily something that you specifically need to do. You might have to delegate certain things that aren't necessarily as important. So you have to learn to say no and then also take breaks. It can easily become very overwhelming if you're that overcommitter. So just learning to take breaks throughout the day so you're taking time for yourself and you don't become too overwhelmed. And then if you're the procrastinator, so procrastination is kind of a habit that needs to be accepted. It's not necessarily one thing that you can say, today I'm going to procrastinate, tomorrow I won't. It's just kind of one of those things that becomes a habit over time. So what can be helpful is using a planner and a to-do list and just kind of scheduling what you're going to do throughout the day or throughout the week. Complete easier tasks first. So I find something that's helpful with the to-do list is maybe check off some things that you've already done. If you've already gotten up and made your bed, that's one thing you can cross off your to-do list. So get those easier tasks done so you're more motivated to do those harder things. And then you can also study with a motivating friend. If you have a friend that's, on it all the time and really good about getting stuff done, it could be helpful to work with them or study with them. If you're the chatty Cathy, it could be helpful to break projects up into smaller steps. So you're doing one little step at a time and it's not always overwhelming seeing that whole project. It can also be helpful to use a planner just to keep you on track and make sure that you're getting everything done. And then also limit your social interaction. So I know it can be hard to do, especially for those social extroverted people. But just, making sure maybe there's an hour or 2 hours out of the day that you set aside that you're going to kind of shut yourself in a room away from other people and just get work done. Or maybe you have to stay after school one day and kind of be in one of those study booths or just a quiet room where you can focus a little bit better without getting distracted by other people. And then for the perfectionist, it can be helpful to just prioritize tasks. Use that time management matrix that we were just looking at to just think about what's urgent, what's important, and making sure that you're kind of limiting the time that you spend on certain things just so you can get to those other tasks that you want to get done.
And here we have some additional time management strategies. These are a good call to implement into your life for anyone and everyone, and just some additional reminders to keep in mind when you're trying to figure out solutions for time management, which is a struggle for everyone. We all have issues trying to figure out what works best for us, and we each have different solutions. So it might be a lot of trial and error for a lot of people, and that's totally okay. So here are some strategies that tend to work well for most everyone. Creating a calendar, and this means even taking all your calendars in different places. If you have, a Google Calendar and then a written calendar and perhaps a notes app on your phone where you write certain things, like taking all of that and putting it in one place can save you so much time trying to find what is due when are you supposed to be where. Just having that in one place and keeping it consistently updated is a really good life skill that can help you even beyond time management. And the next strategy that goes with that is setting deadlines. And that includes setting realistic deadlines. If you know, like for example, that you're a perfectionist and you might need extra time than some of your group members, setting a deadline that's a little bit before the actual deadline is a great way to get ready for something and not have that last minute anxiety and stress. And making sure that your deadlines are spread out. Having 5 things due in one day, even if they are actually due in one day, is probably not going to be super helpful, considering you have so many things on your plate as a student. Another strategy is starting your day with a to-do list. This eliminates the time that you spend all day thinking, what should I be doing now? Or which is the most important? So looking back at that quadrant and seeing what's urgent, seeing what's important, and then making a list that you can easily look at and just go through and cross off is a very simple way to help you prioritize what's most important for that day. And you can even make lists for weeks as well, or months or years, and then as well as having that to-do list each day. A lot of people spend 5 minutes the night before creating that list so that you can just wake up and hit the ground running. And then 2 other really important strategies is blocking out time for rest. You're only human. You have to eat every day, you have to sleep, you have to take care of yourself, regulate your emotions. All of these things are also focuses that you can't put away for too long without having it catch up with you. So make sure you're blocking out time just to rest and to, take time to eat and Because if you don't have these functions, if you're not at speed, then you're not able to even work on managing your time. So keeping that in mind is really important, like setting actual hours aside to just rest. Definitely try it, because you'll be surprised at your mindset difference when you come back to get back to working. And then another thing that goes with that is finding time for the things that bring you joy. And this is anything, walking your dog, spending time with your kids, going to the gym, reading a book. Here's some examples here, but that rejuvenates you. So you need rest and rejuvenation to be able to kind of continue life on your best foot with your best foot forward. So make sure that you have those moments. That's not just about basic human functions, but about the moments that make you smile or make you feel good. And those will help you in the long run when trying to focus on things that might not bring you as much joy.
Yeah, and these last two things I think are important for everyone, but we talked about a little bit earlier, but I think they're especially important for that overcommitter and that perfectionist, is just making sure that you take time for yourself, because again, you are only human. So making sure that you have that time for, again, those basic human needs as well as those things that bring you joy. So you can put your best foot forward when you are working on tasks for school or for your family or whatever it might be.
Absolutely. And another thing we have to talk about if we're talking about time management is multitasking. So even though for some people it works really well and it's a great skill to have, beware of multitasking. It can make finishing individual tasks even harder. If, for example, you're going between 5 different tasks, the time you spend switching tasks and getting into the gear of that task actually can waste a lot of time. So even just setting a timer for an hour or 2 hours to only solely work on one task, you can be a lot more productive than you think, than when you're switching tasks or you're suddenly getting distracted and answering emails or talking to people. So just keep that in mind. And it takes a lot of mental energy for that. So breaking up large tasks into chunks can also be a great way to not get overwhelmed and to focus on completing something so that ultimately you can get it off your to-do list and get on to the next thing, right? And while thinking about multitasking, remember that we all are able to get in the zone sometimes. So getting started can be the hardest part. Certain tasks can be really daunting, especially if it's new or it's something you're still learning. So tell yourself that. Make sure you're okay with that fact. It's okay to be a little scared or or to be procrastinating something a little bit, but you just have to get started. Once you get started, you can explore it and see what might be interesting to you. And getting past that initial uncertainty can allow you to get into a sort of rhythm that'll help you to ultimately finish the task, which is what you want. So seeing how often you're getting into the zone and seeing if you can increase that is a great way to manage your time a little more effectively. And just make sure while doing this, it's part of the work. You have to be careful to stay focused and not lose track of time too. That's why setting an alarm for a certain amount of time or blocking off your schedule can be so powerful.
So thank you for taking the time to listen to this presentation. We just wanted to share, at the end, some of our resources that we have that you can go to if you have additional questions, if you need additional help. So these are some of our resources that can be found on our learning support website. It's just nl.edu/learning support, as well as our contact information down here at the bottom. The last thing I'll show is just our study tables webpage. So study tables is a great resource that you can use regardless of what your time personality is. Basically what it is it's an online study center basically where you can work with writing specialists like Alex and myself. You can also work with math specialists, coaches, career bridge instructors. There's a bunch of resources all in one place, and you can either schedule an appointment or drop in Monday through Friday, 1 to 5. So you would just click here and that would put you in the Zoom meeting. And the thing that's really great about study tables is that if you need help getting started, great, you can work with a specialist or a peer tutor. If you just want to, kind of find that grind in things and kind of just, be in that zone where you can work on things, you can go in a breakout room and just work on your own. If you're the type of person that needs to be motivated by working with a group or other people, you can work with other people in a breakout room as well. So there's a ton of different resources all in one place. So we definitely encourage you to use study tables as well.
And thank you so much for listening. And we hope that this is helpful in your journey in figuring out what time management strategies work best to get the work done.
All right. Thank you, everyone.